I am delighted to be here today with Dr. Nasrallah, who is a nationally renowned expert in schizophrenia. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what schizophrenia is, where it comes from. Dr. Nasrallah,
Yes.
What are the latest advances in understanding the causes of schizophrenia?
I'm glad you said causes, because it is caused by multiple pathways. Schizophrenia is a syndrome. A syndrome means it's a collection of many diseases, all of which have a similar clinical picture, phenotype we call it.
Okay.
And there are a lot of exciting advances in understanding what causes schizophrenia. And let me start out by pointing out that to our audience that schizophrenia is a neurodevelopmental disorder. We've known this for about 25, 30 years now. And what that means, Bethany, is that something goes wrong during fetal life when the person is still a fetus.
Even when the baby is unborn.
Before birth, the brain is being developed, especially in the second trimester of fetal life, months 4, 5, and 6. Mm-hmm. And it's an incredibly complex process. We have now found there are many genetic causes for schizophrenia and non-genetic environmental causes.
Okay.
Let's start out by talking about the genetic causes. Okay. And there are many of them. There are 3 different genetic pathways to become a schizophrenic individual. And I hate to say that, I should say individual with schizophrenia.
Okay.
First is inheriting a risk gene.
Okay.
And we have found, so the geneticists in the world have come together in the last few years and done some massive studies comparing people with schizophrenia and healthy controls, and looking at their entire genome, and found that there are hundreds of genes that are associated with schizophrenia on all the chromosomes. Each chromosome has many of those risk genes that are inherited, and about 340 genes have been discovered that are present in people with schizophrenia far significantly much more often than the general population. And for those who care about statistics, we're talking a p-value, not 0.05, but 0.14 zeros and 1.
Okay.
That's how significant it is. So how do you know if your patient has inherited a gene for schizophrenia? You take a good history from the family, 3 generations, and if anybody in the first, second, third generation, a member of the family has psychosis, they probably inherited one of those. Second genetic pathway is what we call CNV, copy number variations.
Okay.
All genes come in pairs, one from the mother, one from the father. We find that there are many copy number variations in people with schizophrenia where they have 1 or 3. So that's abnormal. That means the gene is making too little protein or too much protein.
Okay.
And so brain development gets screwed up.
Okay.
And so we're finding that to be far more common in people with schizophrenia. The third genetic pathway is mutations. Mutations occur in nature, and some of them are totally nonsense mutations. They don't code for anything. These can be very disruptive to brain development.
Okay.
You know, when you have 10,000 genes that are doing their work, if one of them just doesn't do anything, it has ripple effects on the whole brain organization.
Okay.
So when you put those together, the various genetic causes, you realize that there are numerous types of genetic schizophrenia. Okay. Just the genetic.